Did you lose your voice? I don't hear it. I'm just talking to myself in my room all alone again, late at night. Yeah, that's usually when I make these videos. I do have a feeling that even though I can't hear your voice, that you could use some help finding your own voice in Storyteller. Now that sounds confusing because a lot of times if you're like me, you're writing and not using your actual voice. Although you could dictate when you write, like literally speak and computer converts to text. That's pretty cool. I'm not talking about that kind of voice. I'm talking about the distinct way in which you tell a story. That's how I define voice. Seems pretty simple, but a lot of times we don't even know what our distinct way to tell a story is. I mean, frankly, I didn't know that. We all don't know that. When we first start, we just kind of write, and that's a beautiful thing. But today, if you're kind of struggling to find out what writer you want to be like, how to really come into your own and have your own distinct way in which you tell a story, well, then I'm here for you. This video is actually pretty special to me because during the first Young Eager Writers Association conference, which was back in February of 2019, which feels like forever ago, but I guess at the time of recording, it's not too long ago. But anyways, during this conference in my keynote, I actually touched upon how to find one's voice as a writer because I find it to be so important, especially when being a young writer like you and me. My own personal first tip on finding your voice as a writer is to actually take a step back and focus on your own self-awareness as a person. For me, I didn't actually come into my own as a writer and actually feel comfortable even writing my true first thoughts until I had a degree of self-awareness about who I was, what I wanted in life, really my own personal quirks, my own tastes, and just those simple things. I had a really acute awareness of what my strengths were, my weaknesses, and it took me a few years to figure out and really be this vulnerable with myself. But once I did this, I had a much better grasp of who I was as a writer and thus what my voice would be. Really, I just found it being so freeing to be vulnerable with myself and be comfortable being my true self out in the world. And that in turn allowed me to be my true self on a piece of paper. That might sound super cliche and cheesy, and I get that. But seriously, once you can actually be comfortable and accept who you are, you're going to be able to do that on a piece of paper. And in fact, writing on a piece of paper helped me do that. Now, of course, those first few words were pretty bad, and when I look back at it in a totally different voice than how I write today. But once I started to do that and really feel comfortable, I started to really find my voice. So the biggest thing is really just to keep writing. And once you're writing, you will begin to find it. But there's some other things you can do to really speed up this process. The first thing is really looking at authors that you like, reading their books and analyzing it. You want to figure out what makes Stephen King unique that's pretty much concurrent across all his works, but also separates him from other authors. And that's really just a distinct thing in the way he tells a story. In turn, you have to figure out what way do you naturally tell a story? Which way do you naturally speak that's different from your friends, your family? What is different about your nature from the people around you that you could communicate across through pages that can excite people? Odds are you have something super cool about you. And I'm not saying like trait-wise. I'm talking about there's a way in which your mind works that other people are going to want to see. Your voice in writing is what's going to keep people listening. If you can have a great voice that people want to hear and keep coming back to, they will line up and give you their money to buy their books, which will give you a career. And if they don't, they will stop reading. Simple as that. They will just stop reading. So I know this sounds like, oh my God, like what if I'm my true self, my true vulnerable self, and I pour it out to the pages and people don't like it? Well, you're in luck. That's impossible. Yes, there might be a specific person who does not like your book and gives it a vitriol, just horrible 1-star review. I've had that before. In fact, you can go check out the Amazon pages of my books. There's a few 1-star reviews in there that's like, But at the same time, when you're truly being yourself, being true to your work, and opening yourself up to the work, and by that I mean pouring your own life experiences and letting it subvert the things going on in your book. If you've been through a struggle, using that struggle to highlight maybe a theme in your book, or really underpin something with a character, using the pain you've been through, the excitement, all these things about you, and highlighting in the characters in your book, highlighting the story. No one needs to know this is actually your life. Like, this is just what you're writing. It's your fictional made-up story. But if you allow it to get personal, real, raw, and personal, I promise that it's going to turn more people on than it'll turn off. And it'll turn your target reader on, the reader who's going to want to keep coming back to your work. Me personally, I write science fiction. Romance readers probably aren't going to like the voice of my work. It's a little bit more gritty, tends to be a little bit self-deprecating at times. And that's kind of how I talk. I'm self-deprecating a lot of times. And I can definitely be a little bit more on the cursing a lot, more edgier end of things. I also can tend to be witty. So my characters often make sarcastic comments. Not every one of them. And, some characters fit this, some characters don't. But oftentimes the narrator, the one really driving the story, does tend to be witty. does tend to be self-deprecating. And that oftentimes it defines my work. It will make some readers really turn on and be connected to my story, and other readers might run away from it. And I'm okay with that because I'm not trying to get everyone to like my book. I'm just trying to get enough people to love my book. And that's what you have to focus on. So instead of worrying about being like Stephen King or James Patterson or really any famous author like J.K. Rowling, oh my God, well, you're probably not thinking about being like her. You're hoping you could be half of her because she's like, yeah, she's next level. If you just say the first thought that comes to your mind and are unafraid when really pouring that out into the pages, I promise you people are going to connect with it. Once you open your own internal barriers inside of yourself, your own insecurities, your own fears stopping you from really just being your own true self out in the real world, you'll be able to be that on the pages. And for me personally, starting to try and do that onto the pages and letting those internal barriers come up inside my own room on the chair of my desk actually helped me be that out in the real world. And in turn, that gave me better friends, better experiences in life, and just made me a happier person, which made me tell even better stories and even refine my voice more, which has made my stories even better. It sounds like an awesome positive feedback loop, and it really is. And I want you to join this positive feedback loop, which is why I want you to find your voice with me. So I hope this video really helped. And if you have any questions, concerns, or comments, just leave it down in the comments below. I'm happy to answer them all. And you're also welcome to contact me and the team at the Young Eager-Eyes Association anytime at our website or email in the description below. I hope you have a wonderful day and happy writing, everyone.